of horror. Okay, if you excuse that rather cheesy opening, but give me a break. I did try. I want to talk today about a 1960, a classic horror movie, a 1960 horror movie made by Hammer Film Productions. It was their first sequel to the mega successful Dracula from 1958, or as it was known in the US, Horror of Dracula, which introduced Christopher Lee as Count Dracula and probably cemented Christopher Lee's connection to the character forever, for time immemorial. Christopher Lee was the definitive Dracula. Now this sequel has always been one of my favourite of the Hammer movies, even though it doesn't contain, even though it doesn't feature Christopher Lee, because Christopher Lee declined to reprise the role of Dracula for this sequel. There are different in reports of why he did this. There are those that say he feared being typecast, but there were others saying that there are other reports saying that the actor asked for too much money that Hammer Film Productions wasn't willing to pay him. But whatever the reason, we don't know for certain. But this is a sequel to 1958's Horror of Dracula without Dracula. And they get around this by, as soon as the film starts, we are told, "Welcome to Transylvania, land of dark mountains," and things like that. But we are told that Dracula is dead, but his disciples are not. Now, one such disciple is Baron Meinster, played by David Peel in this, a very youthful looking David Peel, and Hammer kind of tried to present him as a teenage dishy vampire to get the younger viewers in. But David Peel actually turned 40 during the filming of this movie. Now, Mr. Peel, he only made one film after this movie, and I think that was The Hands of Orlick, before retiring from acting, and then becoming something far worse than a vampire. He became, drum roll please, an estate agent and an antique dealer. And he died at the all too young age. He died in his early 60s. You can find all that information online. Now, I've made some notes about this movie. Now, as I say, Brides of Dracula from 1960, which was written by Jimmy Sangster again and directed by Terence Fisher, has always been one of my favourite Hammer films. But watching it this time for this review, I picked up on something I'd never picked up on before, which actually ruins the entire story if you take it too seriously. A mistake which makes no sense of the entire movie. But we'll talk about that in a moment. So, the film opens, and this time the blood red font that Dracula used, the blood red kind of words that Dracula used, that Hammer used in Dracula, is back. But this font is even better. It is so gothic as it flashes out. Again, the musical score is very effective in this movie. All of the Hammer films, even the latter ones towards the later end of their life, were superb in terms of soundtrack, and the soundtrack for this movie is superb. As I say, the film opens telling us that we're welcome to Transylvania. Welcome to Transylvania, land of dark forests. So it tells us it's Transylvania, land of dark forests. It tells us that Dracula is dead, but his disciples remain. And as I say, one of these disciples is Baron Meinster, who effectively plays the vampire throughout this movie, even if there is a big problem with the storyline, and we'll come to that. Now, the film Yvonne Monlaur's character, we see her on a stagecoach, stops at an inn, the stagecoach leaves without her. So she's stuck in an inn. They play around with this superstition stuff about going to Dracula's castle, or Baron Meinster's castle as it is now. And in the end, an elderly lady comes in.
And I didn't want to give a bad impression by arriving late.
You needn't do that. I can't take you over tonight, but I shall see that you get there early in the morning. Meantime, you cannot stay in a poor place like this.
There is nowhere else.
Indeed there is. I'm the Baroness Meinster. My castle is in the hills just above the village. Please give me the pleasure of being my guest tonight.
A lady who is absolutely superb. And this is Baron Meinster's mother now. This lady's nose is absolutely massive, and as a rather great reviewer on YouTube, I can't remember his name, but he rather humorously said of this scene when we first meet this lady, Baron Meinster's mother, that her proboscis, her nose, 3 frames before the rest of her, which I thought was rather funny. So anyway, the old lady offers to take Yvonne's character back to her castle so she can stay for the night, and it's there that she meets Baron Meinster. Now, Baron Meinster is imprisoned by his mother because he's a vampire. But this is the part of the plot that throws me. Because when we first see Baron Meinster, we see Yvonne's character going out onto the balcony. She's looking down and she sees Baron Meinster rather forlorn walking on the balcony. As it turns out, he's wearing chains, so his mother can keep him in prison to stop him turning into a vampire and going out at night and drinking the blood of the buxom women that Amma provided. It's enough to turn anyone into a neckbiter. But anyway, he's chained up, so he's got a long enough chain that he can come out onto the balcony and he can walk back into his rooms and into his coffin. But later on in the film, we find out that Baron Meinster can turn into a bat. And Amma, in all fairness, I still think this is a great movie, but in all fairness, the bat special effect, whoosh, 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 when Baron Meinster turns into a bat is a bit pants. But the fact that what this does is, I was thinking then, if he can turn into a bat, and Amma's, the original film Dracula, Horror of Dracula, made a big deal. Probably because of budgetary reasons. They said that the fact that a vampire can turn into is a fallacy. Peter Cushing's character, Van Helsing, said that in there, probably because Amma didn't want to spend the budget. But in this, the Brides of Dracula, they step back on that, and we find out that Dracula, or rather Baron Meinster, I keep calling him Dracula, Baron Meinster can indeed turn into a bat. So that begs the question then, when he was imprisoned, presumably for months, years even, before this film started, before Yvonne's character came there, he was in prison, so he couldn't go out and drink blood. He couldn't go out and do what vampires have to do. Then why couldn't he just turn into a bat and escape his chains? That kind of make no sense to me. There's Yvonne. Now, Peter Cushing comes into the film about 30 minutes into the film, and this is where it really ramps up. Peter Cushing, of course, is reprising his role from the original Dracula as Van Helsing, vampire hunter extraordinaire, and it all ties up with this thing where Peter Cushing becomes attached to Yvonne. They meet by chance when she is found unconscious in the woodland, found by Peter Cushing, who was coming in his coach, so Peter Cushing saves her, then becomes something of a father figure. Later on in the movie, Yvonne's character becomes married to David Peel's character, to Baron Meinster, and not married, but engaged to be married, and so that sets up the whole thing. The climax of this film is incredibly inventive, and yet this wasn't the original climax. The original climax was going to see Peter Cushing's character, Van Helsing, performing an arcane ritual of dark magic to defeat the vampire. But Peter Cushing refused to do that. He said that this was not something his character Van Helsing would do. He wouldn't engage in black magic, in dark masses, in order to achieve his aims. And Peter Cushing was probably right about that. And so the ending was changed at the last minute, and it's the famous scene where Peter Cushing jumps up, they're in a flaming room, fire is overtaking anything, and Peter Cushing jumps up and turns a windmill into such a position that it forms the sign of the crucifix. and then Baron Meinster, David Peel, soon to be among the ranks of the undead, known as the estate agents of Great Britain, perishes away. It's an absolutely fantastic film, The Brides of Dracula, although I wish I could still view it as when I was a child, when I thought it was absolutely superb and I couldn't pick any plot holes in it. But watching this time as an adult, and after seeing so many other vampire films and so many other horror movies, so many books I've read, that fact that he could change into a bat, which meant that he could escape from the chains that bound him for so many months or years before the film started, and served as a massive plot point because Yvonne's character's got to free him from his chains by getting him the key so he can release himself from his shackles. Why he couldn't just turn into a bat and escape is beyond me. If I missed anything on this, is the thing explained anywhere in the film, and I don't think it is because I watched it twice before this review, then please tell me in the comments. And also, if you'd like to be really kind and do me a massive favour and subscribe to this channel, it doesn't cost you anything, you just click subscribe and that's it, that's all. Then it would help me grow this channel. Also, give this video a thumbs up. Thank you. That was I'm Gary Dobbs. We were talking about Hammer's The Bride of Dracula from 1960. We will go through the entire range of Hammer Dracula movies, as well as their other movies, the Frankenstein movies, or their absolute superb werewolf movie which starred Oliver Reed. So anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now, and see you soon when we next return to Transylvania.